Welcome back to another episode of Embracing Magic with me, Steph, and my lovely co-host, Lizzie, and our first ever guest in the studio today, Ellie from Lunar Workouts.
Hi.
Hi. Today we're going to be chatting about all things movement within witchcraft. But before we get to that, we are going to talk a little bit about Ellie's journey into witchcraft. And it's actually something that I've never had a discussion with you before. Yeah. So I'm really interested to find out how you got into witchcraft and where it all started for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's not that interesting. Or maybe it is, I don't know. We shall decide. Okay, so where did it all begin? Probably when I was a kid, I was trying to think back, start at the beginning.
Were you eating mud?
Start at the beginning. You were eating mud.
Like Lizzie.
Like shoving it in.
You're shoving it in.
No, I was that kid though that was like running around the garden, plucking flowers and leaves and sticks and mud
just
and
obsessed with nature.
Making cauldrons, making potions and I remember I used to walk the dogs like barefoot around. I grew up in a village in the Cotswolds. And I used to just be like, I'm taking the dog for a walk, and I just wouldn't put any shoes on and be like, right, off go.
Wild child.
Yeah, and I'd like jumping in streams and lakes, and so that was me. So maybe that's where it began. But then I was thinking about, when I bought my first crystal, I feel like that's probably when I started to be like, I feel like for a long time I maybe had like a calling towards it, and I was always intrigued with like spirituality and that kind of thing. But then I was like, right, I'm gonna research some crystals. Like I felt like I needed.
Which one did you go for?
Crystal. Well, I still have it today actually.
Do you?
It's actually one of my favourites. I still have it, and it's this big chunky piece of black tourmaline.
Great start.
Yeah, I know. I was like, well done me.
Yeah. And how old were you?
I think I was probably 16 then, maybe 15, 16.
That's young.
Yeah, really. Yeah, well, I guess it was then. And then, actually, no, I tell a lie. Because when I was even younger, but that was the first one I bought, I think, knowing about it. But before then, when I was like, a younger kid, probably like 8 or something, whenever we'd go on holidays, I'd always like drag my mum into like the crystal shop, whatever, and I'd be like, Mum, I need to, have a look in here, and all the knickknacks and all the kind of and I'd buy little crystals, and God knows what they were. I just thought they were like shiny stones. I didn't know they were actually like a crystal. I was like, cool, I like this, and I was just drawn to them. So it probably started there, and then I got into crystals. I think I was mainly into crystals for like the first year or so. I didn't really like branch out. I wasn't like that quick. Yeah. But then I think I must have got into tarot next, and then it just spiraled from there. Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah.
Good. Yes. But what else? When I was about 16, that was when I was leaving school and auditioning for dance schools, dance colleges and stuff. So I was like, doing all the open days, kind of going around seeing, what did I like, what schools did I want to go to, or which one did I want to audition for. And so I trained at Rhombare School of Ballet and Contemporary Dance.
Ballet dancer.
Yeah, so I was looking at, primarily just ballet schools or actually musical theatre schools as well. I did was doing it all as a kid, so I just didn't want to channel myself, and I was like, were
you saying you were a witch at that point, or no?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, unbeknown to me, I was just like, I had my little tourmaline. I was like, I don't know. Maybe I did have it for my auditions. Yeah, I can't think. Perhaps, but I remember walking around like the open days, and a lot of the ballet schools were very kind of bleak and clinical almost, and that kind of energy, and so I was obviously picking up on energies. I just remember that. I remember like feeling the energies of each space, and I remember when I went to Rhombare open day and I had a look round, I was just like, yeah, these are my people.
This is it.
They were just so open, so chilled out. Like everyone was just walking around, like you know, having their lunch on the grass outside, like really chilled, and everyone was like playing drums, and like we had like live musicians and everything there, and like the students would join in sometimes if they weren't dancing. You know, we'd be at the side drumming and stuff with the musicians in the class. So I was like, well, that, yeah, I was like that. It was just felt so wholesome, and it felt so like organic, and I was like, yeah, this is where I want to go.
Amazing.
And then I got in, and then I went.
Oh,
I was like,
so good.
yeah.
So when did you actually start calling yourself a witch, or realizing that?
Oh, good question. Yeah, a lot later. I'd say probably early 20s.
Is that when you sort of started following the moon phases?
Yeah,
and things like
I think
that?
well, actually maybe in lockdown. So what was I 22, 23? So yeah, that's when I really, because we had the time, right? So I was like, oh, you know, I'm gonna get some books and, you know, research stuff, and I always felt drawn to the moon. Lunar Witch.
Lunar Witch.
Lunar Witch. Yeah, it's always drawn to the moon, and I think just understanding about the energies of all of that, I was like, wow, yeah, this is really cool. And I think one of my first books was a Green Witch book.
Interesting,
Which,
same as me.
Really? Yeah. And I wouldn't call myself a Green Witch now.
Is it the one by Erin? Is it Erin Hiscock Burby?
I
I want to say that.
I want to say Brockovich. And then I thought, no, that's wrong. I was like,
I just remember the cover. Like, I remember
Erin,
what it
I
looks
think.
like.
Is it like green?
Yeah, it's green.
Obviously. Black, but with like flowers and stuff.
Yeah,
and then
yeah.
And it's quite like this big.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's
Do
the
we have
same
the same
book.
one?
Yeah.
Oh my God,
It's
funny.
it is quite a popular one on Green
Yeah.
Witchcraft. But yeah, that was one of my first books actually.
Yeah.
Coming to think of it.
It's interesting. And so, because I was like, oh, like learning about all, you know, just nature and stuff in the garden. And I was like really drawn to that. And I still am, but I don't know enough about it. And I'm also not really like, I guess, drawn for that to be like my main funnel of the practice. But yeah, I think it started there, and then definitely, yeah, with the moon and tarot as well. So I already had my tarot cards for a few years before lockdown. So I think I just then delved into that.
So it was kind of like a bit of you were drawn to all of these things at a younger age, and then it kind of all came together in lockdown, and you're like, oh.
that feels like that's what happened for so many witches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It feels like you all
oh,
had the
this
time.
all makes sense to me now.
Yeah, it's like, and we had
This
the
is why I
time.
like these
Yeah.
things.
Like, oh, maybe I'm a witch.
How did you get, like, because it's so funny for me thinking about the energies of the different lunar phases. I still feel like a real novice with it all, but I'm learning it. How did you sort of get the movement and the lunar cycles? How did that sort of like?
How did it like
merge?
like in my head?
In your head,
It was like click.
Yeah, that the lunar cycles with the movement and the dance and
Yeah, I mean,
everything.
that came so much later. I mean, literally probably within the last year or so, actually. Like, they kind of just clicked, and I was like looking into yoga and how that they use that a lot in yoga. So they'll do practices around the moon phases, and I was like, well, if this is working in yoga, why does this not work for fitness?
Yeah, amazing.
And I've always been someone that, like, I don't like my life to feel very like disjointed. I like to collate everything and be like, yeah, to have it like flow.
Yeah.
Flow.
Well, that kind of makes sense with like being a dancer, I suppose, because
Yeah.
it's all about flow with
Yeah,
the movement.
all movement.
That's my dance move.
I love it. Gorgeous fingers.
Hands. I loved the hands.
Maybe I should be a ballerina. No,
Yeah.
definitely not.
Yeah, I think that's what it was. I was just learned a lot about the moon. Became a PT, started that business, had been running that for a few years. Also then had my dancing, and I just felt like there was like so many entities of me in my life that I was like, but I feel like there's some kind of triangle here. I was like, I feel like they all interlink and that they all do work
need to
together, and like I just needed to find the pathways. And then I think it was weird because I get very inspired by other people, so most of the things in my life I've been like, oh, you know, I like that and I like that. Well, I guess most people do as humans, really. That's what we do. That's how we learn things. We like pick things out and go, oh yeah, I'm going to do that and change it slightly and make it me. But this was, I think, probably the only idea I've ever had in my life that I was like...
the only one
idea ever. No, the only idea in my life that I feel like was like solely just... Maybe it just came to me. I felt like it wasn't really my idea, but it was because I hadn't heard it anywhere else. And I just thought...
So unique.
I wonder if this, like... I was like, you know, I think this works. I think this is going to work. And I just rolled with it. And I'm so glad I did because I like...
Well, I'm definitely
Lunar
glad
Workouts
you
was
did.
birthed.
I was good. So for a bit of background, everybody, I can't remember when it was now, probably a few months ago, I was scrolling on Instagram, as you do, and then I came across this account name and it said Lunar Workouts, and I was like, oh my God, what is that? I need that in my life. And funny enough, it was on a local business.
Yeah.
And so I was like, oh God, maybe this person is local. And turns out Ellie is local. Yay! So I was like, bravo, fabulous.
Around the corner.
So I messaged Ellie straight away and I was like, I'm really interested in what you do. And then 2 seconds later, we were at the pub. Lizzie came along, all had a drink. And then we've been, both Lizzie and I have been doing the Lunar Workout program for the last month.
It's amazing.
Month or 2 months?
I think 2 months, yeah.
2 months now.
And we absolutely adore it, don't we? We love it.
Yeah, it's amazing because I think for us, and I think some other witches who are going to join your program as well, it's so good to think about the phases of the moon and the amount of energy that you're going to put into the workouts as well.
Yeah.
Because, for example, we just had the new moon, so we had a more kind of like core strengthening session with you with the new moon, and then it builds up to the full moon, and it makes so much sense because I think particularly as women, your energy is so impacted by the energies of the moon. So I think that's why your brilliant plan idea is so good. And I think Steph and I both feel
I mean, I love it. I mean, it's also amazing to also come together and do the workout. But, I just like like we were talking about the flow of it, and it sort of the build and then the decrease in energy, how it follows that, the way the moon works. And obviously, as we know, the moon has power over water, and we're made up of how much water, girls?
99.9%.
I think it's more like 78%.
Everybody at home.
Don't beat us up for number knowledge.
Don't quote me on that, thank you.
Should know that, really. We're made up of a lot of water, so naturally the moon's going to affect us as people. And it totally made sense to me. And I'm sure it will make sense to so many other witches to work with the moon phases with your fitness and with your body. And it feels like you're even more in tune with the moon, even from like, you know, working with like ritual aspects of the moon.
Yeah, I think
like
you're right.
we do
the whole
like
package,
it's just
ritual and your body, and your soul and your mind.
Because we do that in practice anyway, don't we? And then it's like a whole nother element of like physical, because life is physical, isn't it? We have a physical body and we use that to navigate our way through life. So I think a lot of the time in the practice or in witchcraft or in, you know, the spiritual kind of community, a lot of stuff is mind based. It's mindful, isn't it? It's you know, obviously you've got yoga and you've got like other things that are physical, but a lot of it is quite relaxed based, like, oh, let's, you know, do some forest bathing.
Go quite inward.
Or, you know, it's like all very like quiet on the body, and I like to think of like the yin and the yang, and it's all very yin based. And so my thing is like, I want to bring the yang into the community, because we still, you know, we're humans, we need to like actually move our bodies, and obviously it's a whole massive part of it being in your mind as well, and there's a lot of healing there to do, but there's also so much healing that's, you know, stuff that's held in the body that as we know, we need to disperse of and move and heal through movement. That's another thing that I'm really interested in.
They say as well, don't they, in a lot of, if you're doing a ritual or a ceremony, say on your own, you're doing your own thing, and they talk about within a ceremony or a ritual building energy, building the energy to a climax, as it were.
Yeah.
And actually they encourage you, they talk about dance.
Yeah.
In your own space, in your circle,
It's
using your
interesting.
body to dance to get to the kind of
Yeah.
the point of where, you know,
It's interesting you said that, actually, about the kind of coming up to a peak, because even in a lot of classes I've done in contemporary, especially when they're like improvisation based, we will all very much start, if we're doing it as a collective, it will start at that kind of low level where we're kind of finding our bodies, finding the movement, finding the pace of everything, sussing out the situation, the room, who we're with, and then it'll all build and we'll have this big kind of peak, and then it will come back down to quieten down at the end. And I think you see that a lot in life anyway, with a lot of natural cycles of things, a lot of things are
they build
like a
to
wave,
peak and then they come back down. They build and they come back down.
Yeah.
And I think that I think in witchcraft as well, I think dance, you know, chanting, dancing, it's a massive part of it, isn't it? Sort of releasing and stepping into your body. And like you were saying about, you know, a lot of witchcraft is very mindful, and it's journaling and it's introspective, because you're thinking about manifestation and intentions. And sometimes you sort of so in your head, sometimes you forget about the body.
Yeah.
So it is really important to do
It's about dispersing the energy.
That's my...
Yeah. I've been told I'm like very like in my head. I'm like very head based, very future, not very present. I feel like it's a way of bringing me into the present as well, present moment. Almost like I find like grounding quite challenging.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
So you find like a grounding meditation?
I've not got much earth in my chart. I'm like, so grounding for me, and like I find that a lot through dance. Actually, it's really grounding. Kind of brings me back down.
Focusing on your body and
like
the way it moves.
dispersing of the energy.
Yeah. Could you explain a little bit more about the Lunar Workouts program and kind of like what it would look like? I know obviously you can't show us any moves because we're sat on chairs,
And
but like how you would structure it and that sort of thing.
Yeah. Okay. So, I kind of have two sets, as in I've got in person, which I do with you guys, and then I've got online. So they actually do look slightly different in terms of the package per se.
Yeah.
So if we talk about online, because that's how I originally envisioned it, because with still being a professional dancer, going on tours and stuff and going away, it's important for me that my business is, you know, still able to function when I'm not physically in the space.
Yeah.
So that's what, the online version is, so I will like kind of talk with the client, you know, find out what they want. So it is very much personal training. It's not just kind of, I've created like a series of workouts that I just send out to anyone. It's not like people can just buy it as a, I mean, maybe that's a future thing that I do if someone, you know, an in-between space, that if someone doesn't quite want personal training and they just want to follow the cycles of the movement and moon.
But you also, you send out like sort of like a PDF type thing that explains the energies and stuff that's going on during that month as well, don't you? Which is kind of how you incorporate more witchcraft into it.
Yeah, so like the physical side of it is, you know, I essentially deliver them a personal training plan like most other personal trainers would do through like a third-party app and software. So it's that normal programming how most personal trainers would. But yeah, to make it like the witchy side of it, obviously that's my personal programming where I sit down and I go, right, this is week 1. This is the lower energetically focused.
The new moon.
Yeah, the new moon workout. Then you've got week 2, and then it, you know, increases a little bit but not too much. And online they'll have 2 a week, so I can start with that and then go up or down. But yeah, it then obviously increases, and then when to get towards the full moon,
That's us soon.
Yeah.
Yep, coming up there, ladies.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then that's
the
like the peak. Yeah, so that's when I'm like, right,
That's
we're
cool.
going to work a bit harder, get a little sweatier, you know. Make sure
And
you're
then
working hard.
All comes back
And then
down
all comes
again.
back down, yeah. So the full moon is like when you have like, you know, if you want to go for your personal best, like get in those few extra reps, lift a heavier weight, like do a bit more cardio if that's your focus as well. And then it will like, yeah, come back on the way down.
Yeah. But you also talk about the zodiac signs, don't you?
Yeah.
Which I thought was really interesting because obviously each zodiac sign has a different tie to a different part of the body.
Yeah, yeah.
So you incorporate all of that
Yeah.
into the workouts as well, don't you?
Yeah.
And focus on those different areas of the bodies dependent on the
Yeah.
zodiac sign that we're in at the time.
That's like quite a new thing for me still. So I'm kind of like
Developing it.
developing that, yeah. And at the moment that looks like me kind of I love astrology. I love, you know, whatever sign the moon is in, I really love to like lean into that. And trying to learn a lot more about it. And yeah, like you say, all of the zodiac signs are ruled or governed by different body parts, or vice versa, yeah. The body parts are governed by the astrological sign. So I kind of put together like a little cheat sheet almost of like, okay, this is the sign it's in, these are the basic energies, you know, a few words about it, and then what that means in terms of, you know, maybe that means that you want to do a little bit more cardio. I mean, we're in Leo season as we film this now, so it's like we had the Leo new moon and I was like, right, move those bodies, love yourselves. And it was all about self-love and
Shining a
you know,
light.
because you know, and then you can incorporate that into your workout and, you know, do a bit more kind of like back work. We've done a few more back stuff this cycle, lots of arms and backs, because Leo rules the back, the spine. So yeah, I'd love to get more into that. I'm like teetering on the edge, but like trying to absorb everything I learn.
It's amazing, isn't it? I was just thinking then when you were talking about it, it's like such a clean, like linear way of like living your life.
Yeah.
With intention, with your body, with
Yeah, I think that's the thing, because
harmony with
I
the moon.
crave like routine and structure, but then also when I have it, I'm like, no, I hate it. Give me the chaos. So it's interesting you see that as like a clean.
It's really clean. It's like, I was just thinking when you were describing it, it's a really clean way of sort of living with intention by the moon, with your body, with your, you know, I was just thinking with the coven as well. We have the ceremonies with you, but also we have the workouts with Ellie, and it's like a whole
Moon loving.
Oh, sorry. I don't know why. Excuse me, I'll serenade you now.
We just love the moon. Sorry, Solar Witch.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah,
Just on my own in the corner here.
you're outnumbered.
I'm outnumbered.
Yeah. My brain's melting.
Oh, melted.
Because I am melting in this room.
Oh, you're okay.
It's hot. It's
warm in
very
here,
hot in
folks.
here.
It's very warm in here.
Sweating.
My shoes are off.
I feel like I've got too many legs.
Do you also think you would ever, I sort of think I know the answer to this, but would you ever lead like a witch retreat, dance retreat, or movement workshop, or...
Yeah, I would love to. We were kind of speaking about this a little bit.
We were talking about this
personally,
earlier.
weren't we? A little bit. Yeah, I would love to kind of like longer term visions. I would love to hold, you know, space for people to come and do like a little witchy workout retreat, so they can learn a bit more about their bodies. We could do some movement healing through dance and improvisation and getting to know your body, and then we could also do like workout stuff and learn bit more about that. And or it would be nice to do a big group kind of witchy workout.
Yeah, that would be, I think that'd be amazing.
And yeah, because it's like the energies are so different when you're, I mean, I love both, to be honest. I do love one-to-one, and then I also love teaching like in a group setting, like fitness classes, because it's just the energy's so different.
Yeah.
It's really interesting.
I'm really interested in what you think about how important the connection between movement and witchcraft is.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like it's not something that's discussed much really in the witchcraft world.
Yeah.
Like connecting with your body, and like really it can be quite a form of release and
transformation almost.
Transformation,
like
yeah, and
into...
just it's a huge aspect of self-love, really, like respecting your body and all of those sort of things. And I know we had a conversation the other day about, you know, how there's a bit of a disconnect because of all of the, you know, old diet cultures and things like that have kind of ruined a female's connection with their bodies. So.
Yeah, it's such a shame because, you know, a lot of women that I work with, and I've had experiences, and close friends have had experiences of, you know, just growing up in different times and having different, you know, I'm like the social media age, so we just had it plastered at us like constantly. And a lot of people, sadly, a lot of women especially, I think they see exercise as punishment. It's like, oh, you know, I've been naughty this week. I've, you know, eaten XYZ and I haven't done this and I haven't done that. So I need to burn so many calories to, you know, it's like, it seems so backwards to me. I feel like it's actually a privilege to be able to move our bodies. We forget like it's actually a privilege, like that we can get up and walk around and move our bodies and work out, because so many people can't.
Yeah.
It's powerful as well.
It's
I
powerful.
guess it's really powerful. I think you're right. I think, well, I'm a 90s baby, so I was the whole, you know, heroin chic era, and as you know, I've spoken about it before in the podcast, as a bigger girl,
The 90s were the worst.
so tough, you know. So the power of moving your body, and I think that, like Steph was saying, like the power of moving your body in witchcraft and using all the, you know, like elements or the, you know, astrology or whatever to feel more connected. I think is really, really powerful and really beautiful.
Yeah.
It's something that I don't think it's so lovely to talk to you about it, because I don't think it is really explored.
No. Well, that's the thing. When I kind of had the idea for myself, like, I mean, I did a lot of research into it, and I found, you know, some people that were doing similar things, but not quite the same, more still with the yoga.
She's unique, baby.
You heard it here first. Yeah, like I found people who were doing a bit more with like Pilates and yoga and that kind of thing, and we had like the similar views, but they weren't, you know, trained as a personal trainer. And so yeah, it is very unique. It's still very much at the beginning, I would say. I would still like to grow it a lot more and you know, tweak some different bits and make things better. And, you know, as always, I feel like it's never a finished product, is it?
I feel like with any business.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I do that with the Coven all the time.
Yeah.
I'm constantly changing and adding things. And I mean, obviously you're a member and you probably see me like, oh, we're doing this now. Is this?
I'm like, oh, cool.
But, you know, it's something that I think is just natural. Like when you care so much about your business and you know, what you do, it will constantly evolve.
Yeah.
And
it's so inspiring as well, because all the thoughts and ideas that come through witchcraft in so many different ways, moving with the Coven and things like that, is so inspiring because it's always growing.
Yeah.
It's always something new is always coming and growing and evolving. And
yeah, it's interesting though about, you know, that kind of target audience of being like, you know, witchy women and people interested in spirituality and things. Like I was saying a little bit earlier, like I do feel like as a whole, the community is very yin based. It's very yin. It's people. I feel like there's still a really big disconnection with our people, I feel, that actually want to move or want to work out or feel like they can. Yeah, maybe feel like they can or don't know how. Just maybe so far disconnected from fitness because, I don't know, that industry is so like...
I mean, a lot of it is quite sort of... I was going to say aggressive, but it's not really aggressive. It's just quite in your face.
It's in your face, isn't it? Yeah.
And
I
like, it's almost like you've got these like amazingly fit people being like, come on, you know,
Yeah.
blah, blah, rather than actually, you know, talking more about tuning in with your body and how your body
Yeah.
feels and, you know, all of that sort of thing.
I do feel like as a personal trainer, I did start a bit like that. I was like the tough loving, you know, I can still give you tough loving if you need it. But like, you know, I was like, come on, you know, a bit more aggressive. And then I found that actually the people that were drawn to working with me were actually didn't really relate to that side and actually wanted a bit
interesting.
more of an intuitive coach. And I think there's actually one man I work with, he always says, you know, how intuitive I am as a coach, you know, and he's like, oh, it's so great that you just know exactly what I need every time we have a session.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
But that'll be your witch.
Yeah.
That's your intuition.
And
Yeah.
I don't think a lot of PTs are, though. I think they'll just go, well, this is what I've planned, this is what you're doing.
Yeah.
Whereas I'll be like, right, okay, how are you feeling? I think you probably realise I always ask you before the session, how are you feeling? How are your bodies?
Yeah.
What's going on? Because that changes what we do. And that's
Yeah,
absolutely
absolutely.
fine because it's personal training. It's about you.
Yeah. I think that's so important.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you, Lizzie.
Yes.
How have you found working out with the moon and Ellie and
Do you know, it has actually...
I hate it.
I absolutely love it. No, I'm teasing. No, I have to say, so as someone, I'm one of those girlies who I don't like the gym. I get really bored very quickly. And I think as a bigger lass, I think I was always a bit scared of the gym as well because I felt like everyone's in Sweaty Betty and I'm in a massive Metallica t-shirt. Or like I just feel a bit like, oh, I don't really feel like I belong here. I feel a bit uncomfortable.
It's
feel a bit
intimidating.
Intimidating.
Yeah.
And I remember going to a yoga class in London. I was like, I'm going to die. And I remember the teacher came up to me and said, just put your legs against the wall because everybody had their legs over their heads. And I was just thinking, oh, no, this isn't for me. So I remember saying to you very early on, I just want to work out for the enjoyment of it, not going, I must lose 50 pounds by tomorrow. And if I don't, it's the end of my life. It was more about really being in tune with my body, really thinking intuitively about what I eat.
Yeah.
Sort of combine, kind of what we were talking about, which is combining all of it. So combining the mind, the body, the spirit, all in one go. And I have lost 10 pounds.
wow, that's amazing.
That's amazing.
And that isn't going like, I'm going to count every calorie and I'm going to starve myself. That's just going with the energies of the moon, thinking about what I'm eating, meditation, all the coven work we do, retreats, just living life with more intention across all of it.
Yeah.
So I've found it's been really amazing.
Life-changing.
Intention and
Life-changing.
purpose, isn't it? It's like, but that's interesting. What you were saying just now, which was what?
Meep, we've gone through the wall.
Brain fart.
Sorry,
Don't
remind
worry.
me. What
I was just trying to think.
say?
I was just speaking a lot then. Sorry.
I was going to
just-
say that my sort of weight changed a lot in my late 20s. Like I was always like quite slim. Like I was like size 6, 8. And so I really struggled with that, like that body change and how to navigate this new body. And it's something that I still struggle with really. But I do feel like having done the workout program with you and kind of listening to what you say about, you know, you shouldn't think about that. It's not about that. It's just, you know, connecting with your body and living life more intuitively with food. It's like another aspect of witchcraft, I think, that's really left out. And I'm still kind of like getting my head around it in a way of like a new way of thinking about my
it
body.
is.
And it's like developing a whole new relationship
Yeah, it doesn't
with my
happen
body.
overnight.
Yeah, that's so true.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
That's so true. You're so right, because we're so ingrained to think the other way,
Yeah.
which is count everything and
Yeah.
Yeah,
but actually it's a
and
new...
you know, be stressed about, oh, I must lose weight, but actually, no, it should be more about I want to move my body because, like you said, it's a privilege to be able to move it,
Yeah.
and it's I want to nourish my body with healthy foods because I want to look after myself and feel good and have energy and all of those things.
Yeah, I feel like that's a big thing when a lot of people come to me saying, oh, I want to lose X amount of weight or something. And I'm like, okay, that's fine, but let's try and rewire those thoughts. Like, why do you want that specific number? Or like, what is that? And like we were saying about trying to think of it in terms of actually just enjoying moving your body and not thinking, oh, this is gonna, I'm gonna get straight on the scales after because there's this whole kind of number thing that I say I don't know where it comes from. I know exactly where it comes from. But like to fit in, I guess we feel like we have to be a certain size, look a certain way, be a certain weight. And if actually you just change your mindset and stress is a whole other factor. People forget that actually if you're stressed about losing weight, if you're stressing about a number on a scale, if you're stressing, it hinders your weight loss anyway. So you're adding another factor of stress onto trying to lose weight and punishing yourself, which is all degrading negative thoughts you're feeding your body. And
I think that's the thing as well. I was just thinking what both of you saying. I think that's the beauty of witchcraft as well. It's all inclusive. It is for everyone. And I think when you do go down this thinking about movement within witchcraft and taking care of yourself and living more with intention, it all feeds into the other. Like my mental health at the moment is the best it's probably been in forever because I'm taking care of all the different aspects
of witchcraft as a whole.
And I think you probably feel
same. Movement is such an important part of it. And like I've said, I think 3 times in this podcast episode, it's just so important and it gets forgotten. It gets forgotten. So I'm glad we're talking about it today with you, Ellie. And so what other aspects of movement, because we've spoken a lot about, fitness and the PT side of things, but obviously, dance is probably part of your witchcraft, really, isn't it?
Well, this is what I was thinking, and I still find it a bit hard to articulate what that is, but there is definitely a connection for me, and I think for many other performers and dancers about how movement, performing, dancing, I mean, you as a performer most probably understand as well, connect with spirituality and that kind of
like elevation.
Because it's you kind of go to another place. It's kind of like a real deep meditation, but then also I was thinking that a lot of the time with our craft and our rituals and what we do, it's even if we are working with a coven, you're still working quite on your own a lot of the time. Even if we are in a joint space, you're still honed into yourself and doing the work internally. But what's interesting is through dance and performance is that you're there and you're in that space, but then people are watching you. And it's like that, apart from now on social media where everyone's kind of sharing photos of their spells that they're doing. Whether you believe in that or not, I feel like that is the kind of the bridge in between is the dancing and the movement of being like, well, this is kind of like an experience for the performer and also a different experience for the audience. And I was chatting.
So do you think when you're dancing, do you think the audience could also have a spiritual experience?
I think so. Yeah, I think a lot of performance, watching as an audience, you experience what they want you to experience, kind of thing. It might, it'll be, like you were going to say, your own interpretation of the performance, of the movement, and depending on what that is, if that's like a narrative based show, then that's obviously quite set out at what they want you to experience as an audience. But if it's more of like a contemporary and interpretive thing. That could be anything. I guess a lot of people could have very different experiences as an audience and as a performer.
I suppose because it's live, isn't it? That's the other thing. It's live.
Yeah.
It's like it's like it is a spiritual, magical, live with music as well.
Yeah.
One off.
I was going to say, I can totally relate to what Ellie was saying about when you're on stage, you go into a whole different space.
Yeah.
And it's almost like no one is there apart from you.
Yeah.
And it's quite a sort of, I can relate to it being like a very spiritual moment of being, you know,
sort of out of yourself.
Yeah.
Almost.
It's almost like an out of body experience.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is, isn't it?
It is. I so agree with you. I think I was just thinking then as well about dance as well and moving the body. If it's all got to be synchronized, if you're all doing the same choreography, that must feel like extraordinary that you're moving as one, even though there's 10 of you.
That's the thing, it's the energy you feed off between other people when you're dancing. You know, if you're dancing as a duet, as a pair, or as a three, or as a group, those energies change a lot, or as a solo.
Yeah, because you actually danced on Swan Lake, didn't you?
Yeah.
Which obviously I remember seeing clips of you doing it, and is there like 4 of you in a row, and you've all got to move all synchronized, so you've almost got to tune into each other's energy whilst you're on the stage. So that's the signets in Swan Lake. Very well-known bit of a sing it, girl. So that's like it's known for being so intricate, and you know all the heads need to turn and you know be in the same angle at the same time at the same place. And if someone does, there's also many different versions of it depending on where you're performing it in the world. So if you know the last tour I did, we were quite an international bunch, so we all kind of had different versions that we knew, so we had to really rehearse to make sure we were doing the right ones. And some have bent legs at some point, some have straight legs, so it's like, okay, make sure you know exactly which one we're doing. And you know, if some people had to swap because of injury or something, you'd be dancing with a different person, the energy was completely different. It would be really hard to like, okay, you know, especially where you were in the 4, so I was in the middle. And you know you're holding on cross-armed with different people, and if one person pulls slightly, then it's like all out of whack. So energetically and intuitively, you also have to really kind of think, okay, what we're going to do, and traveling. We're on a different stage every day, so different stages. We had tiny stages, we had massive stages.
So then you're having to figure out how big you're...
So then you have to plan, okay, and you don't have really dress rehearsal time, so you have to plan how far we're going to travel, forward, back, and you just kind of feel it though, you just kind of know. Another thing I was thinking with choreography, a question I get asked a lot as a dancer is, how do you remember everything? Mm-hmm. And I'm like, talking about going into different spaces and different headspaces when you're performing. I don't think this might not be the case for every single person. Maybe some dancers do think about it, but I just don't think about it. It becomes muscle memory. I don't think about really anything that I'm doing.
Though, as well?
I'm listening to the music. I'm just in the zone. I'm fully like
immersed.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about like liminality, because I think we've spoken about, I don't know if we spoke about it on the podcast before, about that liminal space backstage, and that kind of that transitional period of
that is so powerful.
Stepping out, and
'cause everyone has their own different kind of rituals, actually backstage rituals of what people do.
Do you do anything witchcraft wise before you go on stage?
I actually don't think I do. No,
No, really?
I don't.
I
Apart
know-
from my makeup, I feel like I have got
Like glamour magic.
yeah. I'd say that because I had, have a very set way of doing my makeup, and I felt like, if my eyeliner flicks weren't perfect, that day was not going to be a good show. So I'm quite particular with like how I do my makeup, and I used to really hate actually having like a makeup artist or something when you do jobs on screen or something, because I feel like they just don't know my eyes. Like obviously they're great at what they do, but I've been doing my eyes for so many years. I know what looks good and what doesn't, and I feel like it's got to look perfect.
I remember actually, you have been doing more witchcraft based rituals before doing auditions, haven't you? I can't remember some of them that you've done. Do you?
I don't. Yeah, I'm kind of like.
I remember you doing some stuff.
What was I doing?
I think there was one. I think it was a recall you were going to. You said you were going to do some grounding, and you were going to do a meditation before.
I brought my crystals in.
You brought your
actually, I like crystal in one bra, and on the other side, like in my pockets.
Yeah.
Especially for singing, because I find that as a dancer, as a ballet dancer, trying to then transition into the musical theatre world, like. Everyone must sing. Luckily I do, but I was just a bit out of practice with it. So I was like, all the throat chakra crystals.
Yeah, just keep it
and all the
open.
grounding, yeah. And actually this time round, like this year, I felt a massive change. And I do feel like that's because of my practice that, just think like actually intentionally thinking, right, I'm going to try and do some throat chakra opening things before I go and sing, get the right crystals in, like actually kind of prepare that way. And a lot of kind of like manifesting, positive affirmations, that kind of thing before I go into the room. I felt I was in a lot better place
More
to
centered.
like perform my best. Yeah. I didn't feel, obviously I was a bit nervous, but like it wasn't as nervous as I had been in the past. So I feel like, more for kind of things like auditions, I would say, rather than performances. We always, like in the industry, we always laugh that like the job is actually the holiday.
Yeah.
Like
it's hard work, isn't it?
yeah,
The
it's
auditions.
all
Auditions are
the bits where
terrifying.
people are like, oh, do you have any work? And you're like, nope. But I'm trying.
Look, it seems like crystals have been like quite a huge thing for you throughout your journey to now. Like it seems like you're a little bit of a crystal witch.
Maybe I'm a crystal witch. Yeah, I didn't actually really like put two and two together, but I think talking about it, I'm like,
crystals are a big
Yeah.
Coming
thing.
with you. They're always...
I think as I don't remember a lot of things, so like when I'm like, I like gravitate to some because I'm like, I know certain properties that they have or what they help with, and I've got like a kind of base level, but I don't remember like some. Why do I have this one? I just like it. It's pretty.
Would you, going back to sort of movement and witchcraft, would you have any advice for any witches that are perhaps looking to connect with their bodies, may not be able to do full movement, or may not be able to afford to do PT, or maybe don't want to do that sort of fitness, but really want to feel that connection to their body?
Yeah.
Would you have any sort of advice for them?
Well, I think it does depend on the person really, and a bit like what you were saying, what kind of movement they'd want to do, because I think I would suggest different things. But one thing I was thinking in terms of if I wasn't to do so much a fitnessy thing, but just general movement and getting to kind of connect with your body again, I think that would be the first step for everyone, rather than just saying, oh, get yourself a gym membership and off you go kind of thing. Like, 'cause it's not for everyone. And I feel like definitely just having a body connection, first of all. And I would say a lot of that is touch, like personal touch, because as a dancer, I touch my body a lot. But I feel like a lot of people don't. And I feel like also a lot of people are kind of scared to touch their own bodies. And I was thinking, actually, I was chatting with a friend about kind of curating like movement healing workshops and what we would do. And I was thinking that starting super gently, kind of in a meditative space almost, and just allowing yourself to touch
Oh, that's really beautiful.
parts of your body and just get to know yourself, because I feel like
So detached.
when do we do that?
Yeah.
When do we do that? And, you know, giving yourself a bit of self-massage and stuff, and just kind of like being like, you know, this is my body. It's my physical body, and getting to know what different body parts feel like. Kind of like when you do like a body scan almost in a meditation, and you scan down to connect with the body and
But this is like
work
a touch
out if
scan.
anything is like, kind of how things are feeling. Because we are so disconnected, really. You know, we're souls in physical flesh.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah.
Trademark it.
Trademark. Cannot
Physical
copyrighted.
flesh.
But I was just thinking then, sort of as well, talking about movement, and when we were going back, talking about working like in choreography or synchronization, I was just thinking that image of witches around a campfire, like dancing around a campfire.
Yes, I know the one you mean. Yeah.
You know, that sort of image of witches around a campfire, and whether they were doing the same dancing or chanting or singing the same. That image is so frightening to so many people. And I was just thinking, because it's such a powerful thing to see, isn't it? Women dancing around a fire.
Yeah. Like, what are they doing?
What are they doing? It's
What are they
so
conjuring?
powerful. And I wonder if some of it was all choreographed. And
It was actually a huge, you know, community side of it with dancing
Yeah.
as well, wasn't there?
Yeah. I was
I
just
mean-
thinking as you were saying that
Yeah.
it was like they all got together and it was part of their rituals. And
Yeah. And I don't know, there's something like a feel of raising energy
Yes.
by moving a body.
Yeah,
And
raising collective energy.
Yeah, exactly.
like even at the retreat recently, you with the drum. So we had a beautiful in-person, just to let everybody know, we had a beautiful in-person retreat with the Coven for Lunar, which is the first harvest of summer. And the ending was a beautiful fire and all the witches gathered around it. And we were chanting, and you had an amazing drum sort of banging the rhythm. And there was something so sort of ancient but inspiring, and
We all just started dancing,
Started
didn't we? Just
dancing,
started
yeah.
moving just however we wanted to move.
It's like a
Yeah.
natural
And there was-
reaction, isn't it?
Yeah, there was just no thought behind it. You know, it was just
and
really...
no self-conscious, like nobody was like, everyone was
No.
just
Yeah.
like, "Way."
Well, I had to close my eyes so I could keep the rhythm of the drum. I'm not naturally a drummer, I'm actually a guitarist. So yeah. But yeah.
there is something though about that natural. I was reading something somewhere recently. I don't remember what it was now, but it was about that the natural urges we have to move our bodies in different, you know, parts in life, and you know, it's like when we're sad, we naturally kind of curve over and, you know, hunch over, or if we're angry, we'll tense up, or if we're happy, we're more open and lifted. And the body has a lot of natural physical responses to a lot of things, but we shut them off, or we're told, oh, you know, stand up straight, don't look so sad, or whatever.
shoulders
you know.
back.
Yeah. And I think we ignore a lot of our natural impulses to move our bodies. Because it is actually such a natural thing to do. If you take a lot of just normal everyday life things that we do and how we react to them, if we're excited, we kind of, we jump up and down and, you know, wave our arms around. Woo!
Yeah, I guess it can be used to tune into different emotions as
Yeah.
well. The movement side of things too.
Yeah.
Um,
I think that's why I find contemporary dance so powerful, because I went down like with you one night with poor old Ellie. I went down like an ADHD route. I was just sending her videos of Pina Bausch, who is this famous modern dancer. I was just relentlessly doing it. I was
about
going,
that.
hey Riley, look at this, look at this, look at this, just going completely mad. But there's something, I think, because it's so connected to the emotion
Yeah.
inside the performer, inside the dancer, I find it so mesmerising.
Yeah, well, contemporary dance is a bit more like that, and I think that's what also drew me to train at at Rumbest School. The school I was really drawn to when I looked around was because it was equal ballet and contemporary focused, and I really wanted to delve into that. Maybe that, you know, because I was thinking, the school felt very spiritual to me, but I didn't know how. I was like, why did that feel spiritual to me? Like, how was that? And actually, I think it was the amount of contemporary and how deep that was, and how they explored a lot of things that I hadn't touched on yet. And actually the man who was the headmaster, the principal of the school at the time when I auditioned and when I went there was Ross McKim, who was really renowned for like a lot of contemporary stuff. He did a lot of his own kind of style of Graham, Martha Graham and Cohen.
Ooh.
Yeah. And he actually had a little student company that they would go around and perform in cathedrals and stuff. And yeah, all of his choreography and pieces that he created were very spiritual based, and sometimes religious as well, but mainly spiritual. And there was a lot about, you know, like the motherless child and different kind of deities and stuff. And I've actually got something that I'd like to read from one of my no, just just a tiny little. It's not like I'm not reading you guys a book. Just settle down.
Yeah.
You sit comfortably.
No, it's just about the kind of connection between movement and spirituality. Was that the connection is through philosophical concept of flow, being in the moment, that feeling of being, you know, just kind of really surrendering to the flow of your body and intuitively how you want to move it. And Ross's research and term for it was numinous experience, coming from the word numen, which is spirit or power, like connection to deities.
Oh, wow.
And I was like, that's really interesting. I didn't actually find that out until a few days ago. And I was talking to my friend who works very closely with Ross, and I was like, wow, that's maybe that, you know, unbeknown to me, I was drawn to that kind of movement and dancing.
You were having a connection whilst you were in the moment and doing the dance.
Because I was thinking then you could connect to different deities. You could connect to Hecate, you could connect to Persephone, Demeter. You could go down that amazing route.
I've always had an idea, like creatively, for like, you know, choreography, which I tend to have a lot of the ideas in my head and not actually physically do them. So I need to like work on physically doing them. But one of the ideas I had was to kind of pick a tarot card and create movement based on the tarot. So my first one I always wanted to go for was death.
Yes.
Typical Scorpio. I was like, yes, the death card, please. And so, yeah, I'd love to kind of, you know, I think it would be a really nice thing. And maybe that's something that people like witches and members of our community, if they're into tarot and they have tarot cards or oracle or something, is to maybe just pick a card and see how that would make them want to move their body.
Amazing.
That's quite deep,
so interesting. No, I think that's amazing. That's such a good idea.
Yeah.
I think that's such a cool way if, you know, if someone wasn't that connected to their body, just trying to tune in using tarot or oracle.
Using something they're comfortable with.
Yeah.
It's like an anchor almost.
Yeah. Wow.
Good idea.
We should do it.
Fascinating.
Let's do it now.
Let's do it.
Wow, this has been such an amazing chat, Ellie, and we're so grateful that you've come on to chat to
Thank
us
you
all
for
about
having me.
movement and dance.
I'm so honoured.
It's amazing.
Before we wrap it all up, I just want to ask you how our lovely community, Embracing Magic community, can find you and connect with you. Do you have a website, or do you mostly go via Insta?
Yeah, at the moment mostly via Instagram, so it's at Lunar Workouts, Lunar with an R. The website is ongoing. The ADHD tangents, I'm like hyper focused on it 1 minute and then I'm like, oh. So yeah, the website will come, but mostly everything on Instagram for now, and just private message me. And I'm sure I'll get back to you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, well, thank you so much, Ellie, for joining us today, and you, Elizabeth.
Thank you, Stephanie.
And thank you so much, everyone at home, for tuning in. I hope you've enjoyed today's episode. And don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. And of course, we would love to hear from you. So please drop us a comment, a message, and yeah, we'll see you all very soon for another episode of Embracing Magic.